Hi everyone, and good morning from the Norwegian Breakaway cruise ship. In this video here, I'm going to show you everything the Norwegian Breakaway has to offer. Starting off here at the main pool deck area, you can see the big pool down there. There's a stage where they have bands come and play, 2 pool bars, the very important part of the cruise ship pool experience. And then there are 2 main pools, the one over here. There's going to be another one over there by the water slides. The kids also have their own splash pad area by the water slides. And then, well, it's pretty obvious the ship's got a lot of water slides. Right there you can see 5 different water slides. That blue one in the middle, that's going to be the most tame. The purple and yellow ones, those are going to be the next step up, but they do go pretty fast. But not as fast as the 2 over there on the left. Those are drop pod slides, and they're quite the thrill. So you go in this little coffin type thing, it'll close the door, count down 3, 2, 1, and then the floor drops out, and you go screaming over the side of the ship. It is pretty intense. Pool deck on the ship, a little bit weird with them kind of breaking up the pools instead of having just like one giant pool and lots of loungers, but there are lots of loungers on the deck above. All right, let's go check out the rest of the ship. Right now, I'm all the way in the back of the ship at the Spice H2O area, which during the day, this is an adults only section of the ship. So if you're on a sailing and there's a lot of kids, well, this might be the place to be. There are 2 hot tubs out here, as well as his own bar. That water you hear behind me, well, that is this thing. And that's just a perfect place to cool off. That is fantastic. Now, in the evenings, this is where they host their big deck parties. On our sailing, there's been an 80s party, which is a lot of fun. And they use this screen here to play like the 80s music videos. And then last night was their big glow party, and they threw out like glow sticks, and it was a lot of fun. The deck parties on the ship have been very, very solid. Now this is pretty fun. The cruise ship is home to a very good size ropes course. The ropes course goes all over the basketball court area. If you look in the middle there, there's more kind of zip line type elements, which are just an absolute blast. There's a walk the plank element on the other side where you go over the edge of the ship. And something I really like for the little ones, they have their own ropes course. So down there, that one is for like the smallest of kids. And that's a really cool idea. Just wanted to give a little bit better view of that walk the plank element. And there it is. And the ropes course is already entered on, I think, deck 17. So by the time you're all the way up there, you're probably 18 or 19 decks, and that goes over the side, and that's just something. Up on deck 17 in the front of the ship, there is a big sun deck area. And if you're having trouble finding a lounger by the pool, you might want to come up here. It has not been as crowded. Also, this section does have its own bar up here, and this bar tends to be, well, much less crowded than the bars by the main pool. So unless you really need that water, this might be a good place to come up here, get some sun, and relax, because, well, the bar lines on the ship have been quite lengthy, and this one, not too bad. On deck 6, you will find the Atrium on board the ship, and this is something where there's a lot of activity pretty much all day long. A movie just ended. They're getting ready to play some trivia. In the evenings, there'll be music and game shows. And the Atrium, they've got a lot of nuts and bolts to things down here as well. There's shore excursions and the cruise next desk. I do like how Norwegian does their book a cruise while on a cruise. You kind of buy like gift certificates more or less, and you get really good discounts. You also got onboard credits, guest services, restaurant reservations for all the specialty restaurants. There's an Atrium bar that runs some very, very, very long hours. On the far side over there is a Starbucks location. And if you go this way, there's going to be an internet help desk and a fancy photo studio. I do really like the seats here in the Atrium as well, some really comfortable seating. Deck 8 is home to my favorite entertainment venue on board the Breakaway. That is the Sid Normans Poorhouse, which is a live music venue, also a karaoke bar. But the live music show is really awesome. There's like a 4 or 5 piece band and then 4 singers, and it feels like more of a theater production than a band just playing songs. It's really well done. Highly, highly recommend it. But one thing, it is a very small venue. I think there probably fits around 100 to 150 people. And on this sailing, there's over 4,500 people. So it fills up and fills up quick. So if you want to see one of these shows, definitely get there early. Located on deck 7, you'll find the Breakaway Theater, which is the big show venue on board the cruise ship. The big show on this ship, it's called Burn the Floor. It is an hour-long singing and Broadway dancing show. Very, very well done. Wasn't really for me, but it was very, very well done. Also in the theater, there's been a comedian who was great. His name is Quinn. And there's also been bingo in here. In the middle of the ship, right next to this very pretty staircase, on deck 6, you'll find headliners. which, while it's listed as a comedy club there on the side, on our sailing it's been used for a live music venue 2 nights of the ship. And then what I really like, 2 nights of the ship, it is the Howl at the Moon dueling piano bar, and they've put on a really good show. I'm excited to check that out again this evening. Located above the Atrium on deck 7 is one of my favorite parts of the cruise ship, and that is O'Sheehan's Bar and Grill, the 24-hour restaurant. Let's go have some lunch. Now let's take a look at the O'Sheehan's menu. Obviously it's going to be different for breakfast than it is for lunch and dinner, and the late night menu is a little bit less. Starts out with some drinks, and then you get to the good stuff, the food. Right away, my favorite thing to order, the half-dozen chicken wings, spinach dip, pretzel bites, I really like those as well. Sausage sliders, they've got nachos, some soups and salads, 3 different types of burgers, 2 different types of hot dogs, 3 sandwiches. We've got some more main entree kind of dishes with fish and chips, carbonara, and then a trio of desserts. My food has arrived. I opted for the pretzel bites with the cheese to dip them in, and my favorite, the buffalo chicken wings. And for dessert, I got the raspberry cheesecake brownie. O'Sheehan's also has a large bar that runs really long hours. They do have TVs over here to watch sports. Now, there's no real sports bar on this cruise ship, so they don't get all the games. Like right now, we're sailing during the NHL playoffs or the NBA playoffs, and they've only gotten some of those games. In O'Sheehan's area, they do have some traditional pub games like darts and billiards. Something I like that Norwegian Cruise Line does, they have a pressed penny machine. One of the most expensive pressed penny machines I've ever seen at $2 per penny. And then there is going to be some more arcade games up here as well. Race cars, Pac-Man, Deal or No Deal. Another high value prize game there. If I keep going, there's actually some really cool stuff over here. You've got air hockey, futuristic looking skee ball type games, Pop-A-Shot basketball, and even a whole mini bowling alley. Right now, I'm currently on deck 8 at my favorite bar on board the ship, and that is the Maltings Whiskey Bar. I love the chairs in here, some really good chairs. I love the decanter lights, and as you would guess, this has the best selection of whiskeys on board the ship. I have drinking plenty, probably too many old fashions at this bar during the course of this cruise. Also, if you are on the upper tier beverage package, this is where you can really get some good value for it, because they have an incredible whiskey selections, Blanton's, Weller's, stuff like that you can get if you have that upper tier package, and you could do some damage there. That's some good stuff. I'll probably stick to my old fashions. Right by the casino bar, you'll find the entrance to the Bliss Lounge, which is the ship's nightclub. Now, it's not a very big nightclub, but it gets very, very popular, and it's been very busy on our 4-day sailing. So if you're looking for the parties to the parties, it's in there. Something I absolutely love on this class of ship is on deck 8, they have an area known as the Waterfront, which is a deck that takes you around probably about 75% of the ship, and it is really, really nice. There's all sorts of excellent seating. There's a couple of bars out here, and a lot of your fine dining upcharge restaurants. You can actually eat outside if you want to, and it's a nice day. It's one of the outdoor bars here right outside of the Sid Normans Poorhouse, and I've actually been hanging out here in the evening watching the NBA playoffs and my New York Knicks. Some of the really comfy seating you can get out here on the waterfront. The waterfront walk-around deck does go all the way to the aft of the ship, which I always find to be one of the most relaxing places while on a cruise ship, especially if you're sailing. Right now we are anchored in a tender port, but I do want to show these off too, because they've got some glass floors that you can walk over and look right down to the ocean below. The beautiful blue water here in the private island that Norwegian Cruise Line has to offer. Some more fun seating. Also wanted to point out that they've got a couple of these, so if you're sailing somewhere scenic, you can go and get a view from the binoculars, like you can see Great Stirrup Cay over there in the distance. The other bar on the waterfront is right outside of the Shaker's Martini Bar, and I like this one because they have a sustainable drink of the day using some sort of wacky ingredients the kitchen had left over. Like I had a banana rum drink yesterday that was fantastic. Like, this bar opens a little bit later in the day, especially when we were in port, but I'm excited to see what it is today. On deck 8 in the middle of the ship, you'll find Shaker's Martini Bar, which, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It is the martini bar on board. They've got like 7 or 8 martinis on the drink menu as well as a full bar. I really like the rum cake martini. That is a really nice after dinner drink. That has been my go-to when I found myself at this lounge. One thing that does kind of bother me, all the martinis are pre-mixed, which is not great. And in the evening there is live music up here. Last night was a piano guy who's really good. There are 3 main dining rooms on board the cruise ship, the largest of which is the Manhattan room, located on deck 7 in the back of the ship. And here's that main dining room. It's really big, really pretty. You get that kind of a 2-story thing over here with a band that plays. Now the band plays, it'll be on the Times Guide when they play during the evening, but really nice dining room. The other 2 main dining rooms are located in the middle of the ship on deck 6. They're known as Taste and Savor. And all 3 dining rooms will serve the same food, so it'll be the same menus, just some might have a little bit different operating hours, and sometimes there'll be a quicker wait if you go to one of the smaller ones down here on deck 6. Also, there's a bar, so whenever these restaurants are open, this bar is open. In this next segment here, I'm going to film everything I have in that main dining room. First meal is lunch on embarkation day. Wanted to avoid the chaos of the buffet, and I saw some cool menu items like sweet corn hush puppies. The entree for my lunch is a pork chop, complete with a chimichurri sauce. Finish things up with an orange chocolate mousse. The pork chop with the chimichurri, awesome, and I really like the hush puppies as well, so good start. Back in the main dining room, this time for lunch on a sea day, as the menu looked really, really good. Started off with a loaded baked potato, which actually looks like potato skins, which I'm a big fan of. Here's the big reason I wanted to come in for lunch today. On the menu was a Monte Cristo sandwich. Huge fan of the Monte Cristo sandwich. Always reminds me of Disneyland and the Blue Bayou. This has been a very me lunch. Finishing it up with some chocolate cheesecake. Dinner in the main dining room for night 2. My appetizer is a bruschetta. My main course this evening, something I really like on the Norwegian Cruise Line, a Parmesan crusted pork chop. Final night of the cruise, and I'm back in the main dining room for one final main dining room meal. My appetizer, the pork hot stickers. My main course is served, and I went for the pork belly. And for the final dessert, a pair of cannolis. On the top of the ship, right by the smokestack funnel, is the sports court on board, and it is a full-length basketball court. Now they do host some different activities up here. There's been a 3-point shootout, a free throw competition, and soccer tournaments as well. All the way up on deck 15 is where you'll find the spa area of the Norwegian Breakaway. Now at the Mandara Spa, that's where you can pay the money and get all those treatments done or the massages done, couples massages, things like that. There is also a salon and a barber shop up there. And one thing I really like, they have a really cool thermal spa area on the ship as well. This is where also you will find the gym on board. Now, unlike the spa section, the gym does not cost anything to go into. I'm proud of myself, made it to the gym 3 times on this ship. It was kind of an interesting gym as the cardio stuff was on one side of the hallway and all of your weightlifting stuff was on the other side of the hallway. Now, it was not very busy in here. There was on one sea day, it got a little bit busy, but on the 2 port days, it was not very crowded in there at all. And there we go. That is the spa area on board the ship. The entire middle of deck 7 is where you will find the casino, and it is quite the big casino. Big casino bar over here. They got those video poker machines on the bar top, which that's my game of choice too. But actually, I really like playing the video blackjack. It's expensive on this ship though, man. Video blackjack, if you want to play that, $5 a hand. Plenty of table games, plenty of slot machine games. Now, if you are a gambler, the table games that are offered on board the cruise ship are blackjack, let it ride, 3-card poker, roulette, craps, ultimate Texas Hold'em, Mississippi stud, and fortune pie gal. It's a really big casino. It's been very, very popular. Right now it's closed. We are in port at the moment. But yeah, there's been very popular, and you know, they do have some more other kind of games like the coin pushing games, which a lot of fun to play, not necessarily going to be the best value if you're playing those over there. And you get even more table games if you go this way. They do have some video poker machines over there on the far side. They do have some snacks actually, I believe, late night. It's just kind of like simple things to keep people in the casino, keep them gambling by offering them some cookies or whatnot. I think the high roller room is over there. And yep, even more slot machines. I'm not gambling too much on this cruise ship, but plenty of opportunities to gamble if you did indeed want to. Do want to point out they do have one interesting game over here at the end of the casino, and that is one of these more half skill, half not kind of games where you have to try and get the key through the hole and win a whole bunch of money. Located right by the casino on deck 7, you'll find Shanghai's Noodle Bar, which is included with the cost of your cruise, Asian restaurant, and that's where I'm going for dinner tonight. And here's a look at the menu from the Noodle Bar. I think it really excelled with those dim sum appetizers. Those were fantastic. You get your choice from noodles from the wok, noodles in the broth, some fried rice as well, and then there's some desserts at the end. Feel free to pause this if you need to see it in more detail. Now, for my meal, I got a double order of the fried pot stickers. Keep in mind, one order is only 2 pot stickers, so feel free to order more than one. They were delicious. Those were so good. For my main course, I did opt for the barbecue Chinese pork broth noodle bowl, which was pretty good. Not really my thing, but I did enjoy it. And wrapping up dinner, I got the chocolate spice cake, which actually surprisingly was fantastic. A very unique attraction here on this ship is the Sky Vodka Ice Bar, which is pretty much exactly what you think it's going to be. You're going to give in a big parka, you get a drink for $15, and you get to go into a big room full of ice. Pretty neat. I'm on the beverage package, so I'm not going to pay an extra $15 to go do something like this, but it is quite the neat experience. Specialty dining is a big deal here on the Norwegian Breakaway. They have a lot of restaurants that cost extra. They're not included with the cost of your cruise, and I'm going to start talking about them in the next segment here. This pathway leads you on deck 8, leads you over to Cagney's, which is the fine dining steakhouse. I've eaten there before. It's really, really good. Also over here is where you would find Mandara, which is the Brazilian style steakhouse. If you've not eaten in one of those before, it is a very fun time. They just keep bringing you meats after meats after meats, and you leave uncomfortably full. There's also the Prime Meridian Bar here that operates in the evenings, and some of the best chairs on the entire cruise ship are at this bar. There's a trio of fish-themed Upcharge restaurants. You've got the Raw Bar over here for oysters and the like. Right across from that is Wasabi for sushi. And in the middle is Ocean Blue, which is their big seafood restaurant. Right underneath this giant chandelier, and that thing is awesome, you get another Upcharge restaurant. That is Le Bistro. It's the French restaurant. Also, man, it does look great. Like, I love how there's tables when you're inside the cruise ship. It kind of looks like you're outside, and then inside is just even more inside. I've eaten there before. It's a very solid experience. Probably not my favorite. I'm more of a Cagney's guy myself. Also, right next door would be Teppanyaki, and that's a fun time. That's kind of the dinner in a show where they cook the food right in front of you at your table. Those are always a good time. The final specialty restaurant is La Casina on deck 8. It's the Italian restaurant, and if you book with the free at sea promotion, you get one specialty dining dinner, and that is what I'm doing this evening. Got a cool spot right at the window, as you see the MSC Seascape pulling away from the port of Nassau, Bahamas. Let's take a look at that menu. On that dining package that I have, I get my choice of 2 appetizers, so I guess that's like 2 pastas, an appetizer and a pasta. They're gonna be like smaller size pastas. Let's see what we got. We got a pasta fagioli, an antipasto, caprese and mozzarella. That would be probably what Molly would order if she was here. Calamari, a bunch of salads. I think I'll probably go pasta. You got spaghetti carbonara, lasagna, fettuccine alfredo. I love me some gnocchi. Then you got a risotto. There's a selection of pizzas, and then your real main courses are down here. Salmon, sauteed shrimp, fish, pork scallopini. Where I'll probably go that beef tenderloin. Pretty good options. I definitely think this is going to be the biggest of any of the meals I have on board the cruise. Got my own football, a piece of bread with the olive oil and vinegar. All right, let the fun begin. Course 1, spaghetti carbonara. Obviously, Molly can't be here on this trip, but this is going to make her so jealous. So I skipped the appetizer course to go for 2 different pastas, and they're both in smaller portions. This one is the gnocchi with pesto, and those are 2 things I really, really like. My main course has arrived, a beef tenderloin, medium rare, with some blue cheese raviolis and a sauce. And this meal also includes a dessert that I don't know if I'll be able to eat. I am very, very full. All right, and here's dessert. 3 different mini cannolis. Dinner has been fantastic. That steak with the sauce, oh my god, fantastic. I do feel like I'm going to explode, so I'm happy the dessert is not overly large. On deck 12, you'll find the Splash Academy, which is the kids club on board the Norwegian Breakaway. Obviously, I'm not a kid, so I really can't show you much about it. Now, I will say the does have different hours. Today's a port day, so it doesn't open until 7 p.m. this evening. This is pretty neat. Up on deck 16, you've got the Under 2 Zoo, which is just a playroom for people to go in and play with their kids. Kids from 6 months to 2 years old. There's just toys in there. What a neat idea. On deck 16, in the back of the ship, you've got the Entourage Teen Club, which is open certain hours of the day. Nice to give the teenagers their own space. On deck 16, you'll find the American Diner, which is a full service, included with the cost of your cruise restaurant, that is open from lunch every day from 12 to 4. Let's go have lunch in here tonight. And here is the menu, a selection of appetizers, sandwiches, more traditional lunch items, and of course dessert. For my appetizer, I went with the cheesy nachos, which actually look pretty fun. The main course has arrived. I went for the pulled pork sliders because I am a sucker for anything on a Hawaiian roll. Currently looking to the Vibe Beach Club area, which is an area on the cruise ship you have to pay more, but you would have those really nice loungers, your own bar, and a hot tub. So if it's busy on the ship and you can't find a lounge here, it might be something worth investing in. For me, it's just not my thing. All the way on the top floors in the front of the ship is their ship within a ship concept known as the Haven. This is for suite guests. They've got their own pool and their own lounge and their own restaurant. I'm not staying in there, so that's I can't show you behind the forbidden door. On deck 15, in the back of the ship, you'll find the Garden Cafe, which is the buffet on board the Breakaway. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's go see what is for lunch on our port day today. Also, before you go in, there is a bar over here, so always good to grab a drink before going in to having your meal. The buffet starts off with French fries. The French fries on the ship have been very, very good. You've got boiled potatoes, little tiny Salisbury steaks. Look at that. Carrots, peas, and cabbage, and then some baked fish. There's a selection of vegetables, and this looks good, a chicken breast with grain mustard. If you were craving breakfast food, it looks like there's a couple of breakfast sandwiches left over. And then, oh man, look at that caprese. And some potato salad and coleslaw. The buffet area is where you'll find the Cruise Ship Classic, the soft serve ice cream machine. There's a selection of fruits, and I like the sculpture in the middle. Each day there's different types of bread. Today we got sliced New York rye. Oh, that looks really good. The Gruyere cheese rolls, and then a sliced baguette. The carving station smells really good today. It's a Moroccan spiced rotisserie chicken. And then you got some tomato rice, some more fish. So some items do repeat. And then you got some pasta as well. There's a section with a whole bunch of cold cuts. On the soup station today, there's a chicken broth with pasta and a creamy tortilla soup. If the soft serve ice cream is not your thing, well, they have your traditional hard pack ice cream as well. 8 different flavors, which is really nice. And look at that. On the desserts, there is a carrot cake, a raspberry mousse, some jello. Oh, I love me some chocolate eclairs, coconut cream pie, more pound cakes over here, and some fruit. I like this, looks really good. Look at the stir fry section. Cabbage and mushrooms, chicken and broccoli, and then vegetable lo mein, turkey scallopini, and some barbecued chicken drumsticks right next to mac and cheese. Of course, you can't have a cruise ship buffet without your traditional burgers and hot dog section. There's a couple of build-your-own salad stations. This one is a Cobb salad, and it's right next to the pizza. There's a section of the buffet for Indian food that actually looks really, really good. The buffet does have a couple different drink stations. This one's got iced tea, lemonade, and some juices. There's also ice water, milk, and then there's coffee and tea as well. On deck 6 in the front of the ship, there's a very interesting venue. It's called the Spiegel Tent. I believe it was originally built as like a dinner show type venue. It's a really cool entertainment space. Unfortunately on our cruise, it's really not used at all. They've got, there was like solo meet and greets in there for solo travelers. Today there's some sort of like tabletop puzzle game. But yeah, nothing really happening in what was a very interesting looking space. On deck 16, you do have the video arcade. It's a pretty nice arcade here on board the Norwegian Breakaway. They have ticket games, and if you win any tickets, you'll get your prizes from this machine here. And they've got some very, very modern games. You can see the Raving Rabbits, which is a virtual reality simulator type ride, Play-Doh Wing crane game. Now you're gonna see two different types of swiping boxes, the orange ones like that, and then you're gonna see green ones like this. Now, one thing that Norwegian does, which I really, really like, you can buy an arcade pass. Now, I'm not sure on the price of it, but you can buy a pass which you can play all the arcade games you want for the entire length of your cruise. Now, that would be anything with the green swipe box on it. So you can't play like the crane machines or the prize games, but any of the video games, you could buy a pass to play them the entire cruise long. And man, if I was a kid, that would be my favorite part about the Norwegian Breakaway, that I could come and play and just beat all of these arcade games, because they had some really cool stuff. Another really neat virtual reality game over here. Now, if you don't buy that arcade pass, all these can be purchased individually. Like if you want to play this racing game here, that is $2. You just swipe your card. Parents, if you're not buying your kids the arcade pass, I think you could put a spending limit on their card to make sure, well, they don't bankrupt you by the end of the cruise. But it is an awesome arcade. Lots and lots of games, very modern games, prize games, non-prize games. You could try and win plankton. Of course, you can't have an arcade without some skee ball or air hockey. I do also like the Star Wars Battle Pod over here. So a very, very nice arcade. If you are a shopper, Deck 8 is going to be where you want to be. That is where you'll find all the shopping on board. This island here in the middle, they'll do different sales throughout the sailing. The store over here on the right, that is fancy jewelry. There's also going to be purses in there, as well as duty-free liquor. Now, if you took any pictures on board, you would buy them here in the photo gallery. And then on the right is the Tides Boutique, which is my favorite shop on board, as that is the Norwegian logo store. Let's go check out some of the merch. They do have a lot of Norwegian Breakaway specific merchandise, like these really cool water bottles, some tumblers for their Hooked on Cruising line, coffee mugs, little shot glasses. I really like these. They've got Norwegian Breakaway coasters, and then a different style of coffee mug. They've got some nice Norwegian Cruise Line polos. Lots of merchandise for this Hooked on Cruising, which I think is a nice idea for a cruise ship souvenir shop.
Thank you.
Of course, they sell the big cruise ship model. Unfortunately, no cruise ship ornament on this one, although they do sell a smaller model as a keychain, so I'm going to change that into an order. On Deck 8, there is an Upcharge sweet shop, home to gelato and cupcakes. Look at those cupcakes. Oh man, the Oreo one. That, I think, is the winner. So the big walk-around deck is on 8 with the bars and the waterfront, but if you come down to 7, they do have a shuffleboard court and a different area to come and view. Like, you're pretty much by myself at sunset time, and it's a pretty nice view. I think it's going to be a good one tonight. On Deck 5, in the middle of the ship, you will find the art gallery on board. And they do all your standard cruise ship art stuff, like the art auctions. Hey, they do have Marvel and Star Wars stuff, so that is up my alley. I'm not somebody that would buy art on a cruise ship. I do suggest that you do your research before you go decide to purchase anything, but definitely fun to walk through. It's in a pretty good location in the middle of the ship. On Deck 8 by Sid Normans, they do have a wall of plaques. And I love when cruise ships have something like this. These are plaques that a cruise ship is given the first time they visit a new port. Located on Deck 6, right by the Atrium, you do have the library on board. And they've got games in here, and they've got books. Now, some of the books, like all these books in the case, you do have to check them out just like at a library back home. And it's open certain hours of the day for you to be able to check your books in and out. There's also some Sudoku and puzzles. I did sit in here and get some work done. It was actually a pretty good place to do so. And they've got a book exchange where guests can leave their own book on board. And if you watched one of the videos before, you know exactly what is coming. Andrew Hyde on the staff, he wrote Experience the Point Volume 3. So if you want to learn all about America's rock and roller coaster, back in 2007, well, we're going to take a copy of Hyde's book and leave it right here on the ship. Come find it, give it a look. It is autographed by Hyde himself, but don't steal it. Just leave it here. So I'm staying in one of the Studio Solo cabins, which gets you access to the Studio Solo Lounge, a nice two-story place right by all the studio cabins. There is a bar in here. The bar runs very short hours. I think it runs every evening from about 5 to 7. But the good thing about that is a lot of times the bars on the ship have been very, very crowded, and this one is definitely not crowded. And then they always have like some juice and water and some snacks. It's always been fruit and pound cake. But yeah, it's a nice little perk of being in this category of cabin. And let's finish things up here with my cabin. I was in the Solo Traveler Studio cabin, so obviously it's going to be very, very small. But I thought it was fine. You know, you don't spend a whole lot of time in the cabin. You're pretty much in here just to sleep and shower. It's got the fake window over there. The makeup room or do not disturb are digital, so you just have to hit the button. It does have one of these things where you have to stick like a card in there to have the power turn on the room. And I just took one of these flyers and stuck it in there. For my cruise, I was on a 4-night sailing, so I thought it was plenty of storage. They do have these sliding doors, and where you can hang up your clothes. They do have I do like that when you close them, they got the nice soft close feature as well. TV was okay. They did have 2 movie channels and 2 channels that had like TV shows on it. Besides that, it was a lot of news. And then you've got a small shower, which was, serviceable. And then another door here that'll lead to the toilet section of the bathroom. And of course, like all these cruise videos, let's finish up the tour with the terrifying toilet noise. And there we go. That'll do it for my cruise on board the Norwegian Breakaway. A fun time indeed. For those curious, Molly can't come on every single trip with me. That's why I was solo on this one. And part of the reason I was solo, well, I play the My Vegas series of apps, and that ended up getting me $750 off a Norwegian Cruise Line cruise, which meant this cruise was pretty much completely free outside of paying for things like the internet package and the port taxes and fees and the daily gratuities. So, I can't beat that deal. That's also part of the reason I was staying in that solo cabin as well. Now, with any vacation, there's going to be things you like and things you don't like as much. Positive, guys. So let me start off with the good. Things I really enjoyed on their Norwegian Breakaway, I think far and above, the number one thing that stood out to me was food quality. I had a lot of meals, and pretty much everything was good. It was better food than I remember having on Norwegian Cruise Lines in the past, which is always a good thing to see. And the best restaurant I dined at was definitely their specialty restaurant. That meal at La Casina, if you're trying to make your decision on where to eat with your dining credit, man, that was pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic indeed. Something I also really enjoyed were the shows at Sid Normans. They were top-notch, really, really high-quality show. I also liked the Atrium area. It had all the games and the music and the movies in the afternoon. I thought that was a really, really good spot. I also liked that this cruise ship had multiple full-service alternative dining options. You had O'Sheehan's that you could dine at 24 hours a day. For dinner, if you didn't want the main dining room, you didn't want the buffet, well, you could go to the Shanghai's Noodle Bar. For lunch on some days, they had the American Diner open. So I really liked that they had that full-service waiter experience in some of those alternative venues. Spice H2O I thought was an excellent venue, adults only, that cool waterfall section, and an excellent spot for deck parties. The cruise ship has 5 water slides on it. If you're looking for water slides, you will not be disappointed. I love any cruise ship that has an area like the Waterfront. They have bars and restaurants and a big walking path so you can get out there and enjoy the ocean. I bought the premium internet on this cruise, and it was pretty good. I was able to live stream, the baseball games I wanted to watch and the basketball games I wanted to watch, so it was a very good quality product. Sometimes the internet, when you buy them on a cruise ship, it's not so great. This one was pretty solid, although I will say I needed to upload an in-the-loop video at one point, and I think it took about 8 hours. Also, I would say the solo cabins, having that on a cruise ship, Norwegian, I think, is the only people that do the solo cabins, and I think it's a really, really cool option. Obviously, then you don't have to pay that single supplement like you would on other cruise lines, and you get that neat lounge area. And last but not least, one of the best whiskey selections I've ever seen on a cruise ship. I do regret not upgrading my beverage package because, man, I would have had my fair share of Blanton's and Weller at that whiskey bar. Now, with the good do come some bad. Here's some things I did not quite like as much. I felt the ship was a bit understaffed. There were almost few to no roaming waiters. Oceanians was only using like the dining room area. On other ships I've been at, they've used the whole area all around the upper atrium. And that, like, one night I wanted to go to Oceanians for dinner, and I got a buzzer, and I was waiting like 40 minutes, and then it just, do you know what? This is not worth it, and I gave up. And I really hate doing that because I really like that ending the night with some chicken wings. And then most bars also seem swamped at all times, and that's never a fun time. Nobody likes waiting for a drink. Obviously, you're patient and you do, but man, I felt bad for the bartenders because they were just swamped at all hours of the day. And then with them being swamped, the bars also were kind of dirty. Like, you go to the bar, you put your arm down, and then you end up with your arm in some gunk, whether it be water or ice or somebody else's drink. Like, there was a lot of gunk on the bar at all time, which is never good to see. I would say I was disappointed that there was nothing in that Spiegel tent. That looked like a really, really cool entertainment venue, but there was nothing really in it to entertain you the entire time. And at the same time, I would say the entertainment lineup on the ship was not great. There's plenty of nights, like night one was a really weak entertainment lineup. There was other times during the day, especially on sea day, where there was just almost nothing to do unless you wanted to go spend more money, and that's probably the cruise ship's goal. And my final thing I did not much care for was, well, the Sid Normans shows were great, but that venue was just way, way too small. And I hate the idea of, if you want to see something on a cruise, well, you got to get there 30 or 45 minutes early to get a seat, because then that ends up taking like 2 hours of your night in that one spot. And yeah, I didn't like how you had to get there so early, and that venue needed to be a lot bigger. It's the same problem I had with every cruise ship in this line of cruise ships. That live music venue in that spot is just way too small. All right, and that'll do it for my time on the Norwegian Breakaway. If you have any questions about the cruise ship, let me know in the comment section below. And thank you very much for watching this video. You guys didn't watch videos like this. I couldn't go on so many cruise ships, and it's one of my favorite things to do. Thank you very much for watching.